What's going on, guys? It's your boy Sleazy here. And I saw that they were making a Dune game, and I was like, oh, that might be kind of cool. I was kind of disappointed with some of the other Dune games. They were really fundamentally basic and just kind of overlaid with a Dune theme, which I was kind of like, okay, this is a cool idea. You didn't take it far enough. And then I see Dune Awakening. I'm like, what's Dune Awakening? Oh, it's a survival crafting game made in the Dune setting. That could be interesting. And then I saw it was made by Funcom, and I instantly lost all hope. Because for those of you who don't know, Funcom is owned by Tencent, which to me tells me it's going to be nothing but Chinese spyware I install on my computer. That's going to be absolute garbage. And before you start going off in the comments section about how Funcom made Conan, well, they didn't make Conan Exiles. They bought Conan Exiles, but they did not make it. Let's be very clear on that one. And mods absolutely made that game good. Anyway, digressing back to the original topic here. So anyway, that's all going on. I'm like, I don't think I want the game. And then I see an article that just says, Dune Awakening devs explain alt history approach to Conan Exile's vast, intricate follow-up. Wait, they're making alternative history of Dune in a video game? And I lost even more hope. But reading through this, it kind of doesn't sound like that's actually what it is. And I'm torn on this one. And I'll explain why. It actually sounds like a fun game. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still torn on installing it because China. But let's go ahead and read the article, and maybe it'll make my point a little bit more clear. It's hard to think of a science fiction universe as inseparable from its canon as Dune, and yet at the same time, it's a universe where so much can vary from interpretation to the next, as you'll be swiftly reminded anytime you catch a stray set photo. With that in mind, it probably makes a lot of sense for Dune Awakening, the survival MMO for Conan Exiles developer Funcom, to take its alternate history approach. Dune Awakening takes place a few years before the events of the books. But those events are entirely different timelines, with Awakening imagining a scenario where a significant moment in the books where someone makes a decision of some kind is decidedly different. Yeah, that entire paragraph would say it's alternate history. Joel Bylos, Funcom's chief creative officer and creative director on Dune Awakening, was coy about what decision that was, let alone what the consequence of it might be. It's not Paul that makes the decision. Here would at least say, referring to protagonist Paul Atreides, this was after I'd asked whether it might be his drinking of the water of life, that decision he was referring to, the moment where Atreides effectively chose the path of war in Frank Herbert's novel, and now Denis Villeneuve films. Things are slightly different in our multiverse. Many events are still the same, so it's not like we've gone all thousands of years ago. A rock slid in the wrong place and changed everything. It's just a few years back. But the significant thing, it's really close to spoiler territory, which I can't really go through, but let's just say that for the large part, we're sort of a sidestep religion. So all this sounds like they're just trying to justify throwing out whatever Dune history they have, whatever story they have that actually exists, and saying, hey, alternate timeline. Which, look, you can listen to all my previous videos. I hate alternate timelines. I think they're stupid. I think they're absolutely stupid. Like, just give us a Dune game in the same universe. Maybe some faraway planet. Hey, anywho, digressing. I guess you couldn't really do that because it wouldn't be Dune, and then you wouldn't have the sandworms. Okay. Maybe this one might actually work. Maybe this is one of the few times. Maybe just a timeline shift. Maybe a what if this instead of this. Keep it the same. All right, so he goes on to say, at this point I can hear Dune nerds' alarm bells ringing. Yeah. The Dune Encyclopedia is also out while we're on the subject, which means no biologically powered machines, but while that's not exactly canonical, in the eyes of Funcom and Herbert Estate anyway, Dune is in many ways nothing without religion. That's the entire... Maybe I'm just assuming he's a weirdo journalist and doesn't understand that the entire thing's about religion and following false prophets. Anyway, okay, let's just skip the religious part because I want to get to the part where he talks about the game and how the gameplay actually goes, because this is what actually kind of brought me back into wanting this. From betas alone, some of these guilds of the game's Discord server have upwards of 150 to 200 people already. So, huge guilds. By the late game, the goal is to have these huge factions full of thousands of players vying for resources. The core cycle seemingly being the same as most online survival games. Build a base, go hunting for resources, come back, craft things that allow you to do the same thing but better. In Awakening specifically, that's about collecting, you guessed it, spice, the glittering oil/cocaine resource that fuels humanity's multiple addictions and Herbert's idea of the future. He doesn't understand. Okay, he doesn't understand spice. But anyway, let's keep going because we're talking about the game, not this terrible games journo's opinions on things instead of facts. Servers are split in such a way that there are safe areas and risky ones, with them all stitched together through a bit of technical wizardry called server meshing. That means seamless movement across the whole thing. Okay, so I've seen some games try and do this before, and they do it okay at best. So, first concern about that game, I like the idea that you can just almost infinitely wander. Funcom expects to start at about 40 players per server, with at least 10 times that in the deep desert areas where you'll face the proper conflict. 40 players per server, but up to 400 in areas you expect fighting. Look, I think I know what they're trying to do, and I think they're going to absolutely fail at it. And that's if they get enough people to play. Because I don't know, this is kind of a niche game. Like you're talking about MMO crafting survival video game players who are also fans of Doom. Did I say Doom? I thought I said Dune. Dune. But what 40 players is kind of, I don't know. It depends on how big each area is, and like you can't limit. Like if you limit that, you just what sandstorm scrolling, and you can't go to another area. Like okay, I'm going to continue. The big twist is the game's Coriolis storms, which turn up once a week to wipe everything in the dangerous part off the world. Okay, so you need a justification for server wipes. Cool. Theoretically, you'll be building more permanent bases within the shield wall and the temporary ones of growing quality each time you venture out. All this bundled with the idea of living worlds where huge groups might receive alerts that something's going down out of the deep desert and come to fight. I have grave concerns on how that server is going to work. If you don't fancy that, you can go do something entirely peaceful, like be an architect with some seemingly thoughtful approaches to the system there. Well, if everybody's building their own, like you need to harvest the resources, so you're going to have to harvest more rare materials. Those are obviously going to be in the more dangerous part with PvP. Like you can't have a peaceful server. It doesn't work. It just becomes bloated and boring. Anyway, going on, you'll spot a form of mining in the trailer with a player shooting laser at a pile of rocks, but actually that's part of an active or passive approach players can choose. Bilos explains, where picking the more active approach will get you better resources, but the real hope from Funcom is that through these sweeping faction-led objectives, the political intrigue Dune is known for, alongside its many other schemes, will organically come to the fore. That's alongside the explicit parts of the main story, which players out optionally through missions after you're thrown out in the open world, following a quick 15-minute tutorial. People will create guilds, so that's the same. They'll talk, you might want to join up, so blah, blah. So all that's basic, normal MMO stuff. So yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of reasons I don't like this game already. I think they're trying to do too much, that other people have tried to do the same thing and it doesn't work. And then you're putting it in a niche, a really niche group here. I said it while I was making. I said it before. It's survival MMO, which already limits your market. Then you're going with the Dune, and then you're gonna have. It's more than likely going to be PC only. Like that's a really limited market. They sound like they have a great idea, and then they just said, how much extra can we do? Can we go Can we go the full 150 yards here? And they don't know how to do it. Like, I spent years playing Eve. I absolutely loved Eve. And Eve was fantastic for a lot of reasons. One, each system was its own server node. Each server node was capable of hosting a ton of people. And if you were to tell the developers, hey, we're going to have a massive battle in this area, they would purposely beef up those nodes to make sure you could handle it. But here it just sounds like they're setting limits on what you can do. And not only that, Eve was fantastic for the amount of free reign you had in the game. The developers literally did not care if you called people names, if you trolled them online, if you harassed them online, because the only thing they had was don't hack the game. Don't purposely try and break the game. Don't do anything that actually stops the game from working. Which led to spies, multiple accounts, saying the most extreme trash talk to somebody that would make Call of Duty lobbyists shiver. But here, it's China, it's Funcom, it's Tencent. They're not going to let you say that the first time somebody complains. They're going to kick you off the server. I don't think these servers are going to hold up. Now, I'm worried about Chinese spyware being embedded in the installer or the game itself. I just wish it was another developer. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I really wish it was another developer. But guys, if you're a fan of this type of game or this series, I kind of want to hear your thoughts on it. So leave that in the comments section. And while you're there, like always, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. And make sure you share this one out. And until the next one, guys, be easy like sleazy.